for over a decade, and it's mostly just making what I consider fringe films or obscure cinema. Most of the shorts we do aren't horror related at all, because you kind of got to change it up. But I think what we're known for, if we're known at all, is for making sexploitation. That's the best way to describe what we do. There's lots of discrimination against the type of subject matter that we focus on, and I really just don't understand the humor behind it, or the satire that is the intention. So we face some discrimination from what I consider to be the growing film community, but I don't consider the local New Orleans film community to be my film community. I think the world is. That's what the internet's for. And even if there wasn't the internet, I mean, I used to order VHS tapes from a catalog, gray market box would show up, a gray box with printed out Cannibal Holocaust or whatever it was, or Ringu, or things, Battle Royale. I could name a bunch of stuff I bought that way, VHS out of a catalog. It's a global aesthetic that appreciated globally. So I just try to showcase what I consider to be gritty third world elements of where I'm from, and not try to gloss over anything and make it a Hollywood production or a typical New Orleans production. It's not for people here, it's for everybody. Yeah, the thing that we're most known for is the Cockpit Killer, and we've been shooting the third one, and I got like a few shots left to do, but the third one should be coming out this year. So that's my own fault for being the most known. It's a subject we keep going back to, and we just have so much fun with it. And it is the most directly satirical avenue I've ever found. That character is an outlet to go into a multitude of hypocrisies, and that's what we try to highlight. Whether it's drug use or sexuality or whatever it is, the preconceived notions that the general population have. The newest film, feature film that we've worked on is Grime Wave, and it's about an hour and a half. It's primarily shot and edited. I've been doing pickups on it lately. Grime Wave kind of, if the first Cockpit Killer film satirized laziness or like substance abuse, the second one was a focus on sexuality. The newest Cockpit film goes a lot more into just cartoon land, and I think the main satire is social. Instead of focusing just on sex or drugs, these things, I feel like I've touched them enough already, so the way in which we approach and view those subjects is already a given. Especially if you're a fan, you kind of just assume our point of view already. So what we're making more light of are just social issues, race issues, poor, rich, poor. I like to think there's even lots of commentary on technology or the lack thereof in this world, social media, camera phones. Like, I see lots of films that try to embrace these things, and I don't. I mean, I have a smartphone, but I don't embrace it. I don't use it for anything else. So I guess this film just takes, like, what is this modern culture that we're forced to partake in, and how can I kind of reject it in some way? I don't want to be politically correct. I don't want to be sexually correct. I don't want anyone to have the right interpretation, because every interpretation is a valid one if you're willing to hear it out. And so just things that are people are most sensitive to, we try to poke at and get a reaction. And that's why we're not too well viewed locally. It's not PC. I'm not in this business at all. I make movies. I'm not in the business of making movies. I just do it. I would very much like to professionally make a film for profit. Yes, obviously, but that's not what I'm doing right now. It's not the point. It's not the end goal. To make money is not what we're why I spent the money to make the movie. I spent the money it's a hobby. I would love to explore creative territory with a financial incentive, of course. I wouldn't say that that's selling out. That's just taking the art that you've cultivated to the next level. I don't need to do that. It's not going to upset me emotionally if that never happens. But as much as learning how to produce film and the technical aspects of it, the logistics of everyone, understanding pre-production, principal photography, post-production, to broaden that into understanding financing and distribution and yada yada yada, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just a continuation of how this art form perpetuates. And I do want to perpetuate the art form, but no, I mean, I'm not presently working on anything for money, so, but I have nothing against it. Everything that we do is self-funded, and most pre-production is resource allocation. So discussing, even within the script itself, as I'm getting the script from writer Matt Hanchy wrote Grime Wave, so as I'm getting his script notes or drafts, it's yay or nay. Can I build this set? Do I have the resources to shoot in this type of facility or not? I'm not, obviously we're not going to make a film with mech warriors. I don't have anyone to build the suits. There's creative ways around these things, but is it worth my time? Or are we trying to tell a story? And as long as we can focus on that, we can kind of get around over-financing it. And I just want to make sure that people can show up and people aren't complaining because they didn't need to. That's, we can buy some props, we can buy some costumes, I can buy some fake blood. So everything we do, yeah, is completely self-financed. My favorite horror movies jump from decade to decade, you know? Like, I always say that horror is a very giant genre. I consider Dracula and The Mummy, Universal films, to be some of my favorite films of all time. In no way do they relate to Herschel Gordon Lewis films. It's just, and most people would say that that's the same genre. It's totally not the same genre. And when you get into exploitation films, which is my favorite genre of all, I Spit on Your Grave is a powerful film. I've seen it so many times, and it makes me feel like, am I morbid for appreciating this movie so much? But no, it's executed flawlessly. It's a great film. And like, obviously there's classic horror films that just don't, that kind of break the mold from the formulaic. But I think the formula is decade by decade. So I have a favorite Giallo film, I have a favorite slasher film, I have a favorite monster film, I have a favorite Hammer film. I honestly think that all these things are different genres. You would call them horror, but that's just like saying then there's no difference between drama and comedy. There is. The Cockpit Killer is one of my best friends. His name is Jason Matherne. He and I are an odd couple. We don't really share the same interests. We do not have the same lifestyle. He's kind of my opposite. And I think that's why I appreciate him so much. But we honestly, I see him more than most friends that I have. And again, I don't in any way follow his path in life, and he doesn't in any way follow mine. And I don't see us wanting to be like one another at all. But the Cockpit Killer is one of my best friends, and as inappropriate as he is sometimes, and believe me, the Cockpit Killer is very much like the character. The actor is much like the character he plays in lots of ways. We don't have that in common, but I am best friends with the Cockpit Killer. I would like to think he considers me one of his best friends.